Okay, so my name is Kjirsten. I've got two big dogs. I do a lot of crafts. I read, play video games. Nothing too exciting. My life generally is work, dogs, and sleep with a couple friends here and there. So I've been doing rideshare for 2.5 years. The last 2 years have been full-time. I have 8,848 rides. I quit my last office job, and it was supposed to be a stopgap between old office job and new office job. And then I realized I really liked it, and 2.5 years later, I'm still doing it. Probably my favorite is when I started Lyft, we had Lyft mentors. And so my Lyft mentor's name is Kelly. And I got a request in Northeast Minneapolis from a Kelly, and I knew it was him. And so I picked up my mentor, and I drove him down to South Minneapolis, which is where a good friend of mine, who's also a Lyft driver, lives. And I dropped him off at her house where she was hosting a party where I had been at about an hour before I'd gotten the request. And so I think of all of the interesting rides, that one beats out even the Mandarin Chinese lessons and puns. Self-discipline, hands down. You have to make yourself turn it on. You have to make yourself go out there and clean the car and get the gas. And even when you're having a day and you don't want to work, you gotta work. You can't just decide, oh, I'm taking the day off, or you can, but then there are problems with that. And so I've found that the hardest part of being a full-time Lyft driver is making myself driving. $100 cash tip. A guy left his keys in my back seat. I noticed it immediately, but I dropped him off at Canterbury Park, which is a racehorsing thing, I think. So I logged off immediately and contacted him, but he didn't get back to me. And I stayed offline for like 20 minutes, still didn't get back to me. And I contacted Lyft. So I'd give him my phone number, which normally I don't like to do, but give this dude my phone number. I have his house keys. And so I heard from him like 2 hours later, and I said, you know, let me know when you're on your way back from Canterbury Park. Wherever I am, I will finish the ride, log off, and meet you at your location. And he was so grateful and blah, blah, blah. He hands me a tip, which I think at the time is a $10 bill. I drive away, it's a $100 bill. He was very grateful that I took him not having his keys a little seriously. So that was my best tip. 400 to 500, that's happened twice. Once was a snowstorm that we had here in Minnesota. Because when it's snowing and you don't have any way to get anywhere, you kind of have to. And then Pride weekend last year. Last year I did like 8.5 hours and I walked away with, I think, 460. I'm Lyft only. And I will say that I don't like much about Uber as a company, and that personally I'm not willing to work for a company that does the things that they do. And people will start saying, oh, well, you're bringing your morals into it's just money, and that's fine for you, but I'm not going to work for a company that I think is sketchy as Well, I'd say that there are three. The first is not having a dash cam. It's a simple safety precaution. It is a really good way to get your insurance company to pay up when you're in an accident if you have a 360, which I've done, because you can prove that you weren't at fault. And you're on the road so much you're going to get into an accident. Number two is not thinking. People think that you just turn on the app and you make money. Okay, which you do. But you have to know where to go. You have to think about that. If there's going to be a really big concert at such and such a place, maybe you shouldn't be over there. Maybe you should be in this area. You have to think about what's going on and kind of plot your night. And granted, rides are going to take you everywhere, but that doesn't mean you can't make some planning. And then number 3 would be not being firm enough. I've seen more posts than I can count. Well, can I kick someone out of my car? Well, this person was smoking in my back seat and I didn't know how to tell him to stop. Or this guy made me feel really uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do. Be firm. Tell them what to do. It's the only way that it works. Okay, this one is going to take time. You have to find the pulse of the city and put your finger on it. You will, if you do it, and at the same times, like you can't do days one day and then nights the next and then expect to know what's going on in the city. But once you find that pulse, I'll know this part of town is going to be busy because it's this time of night. I better be in that area. Or this part of town is going to get me absolutely nothing. I'm putting destination mode on and getting out of there. It's figuring out where you're going to get business on a level that's almost intuitive. There's some thinking, but at the same time, the thinking becomes it meshes to the point where you just know. And that's the best tip I can give. I mean, be friendly and get tips and blah, but really just figure out what your city's doing and go for it.